Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's Getting Started with the Marketing Center webinar. My name is John Shrives, and I'm part of the Learning Services team here at Royal LePage Canada. I want to thank you so much for taking the time today to join in today's webinar. We're going to be spending about 40 minutes to an hour of our time together today talking about the Marketing Center and some of its functionality, going a little bit deeper than some of our other webinars so you can have a full overview of what's possible within the Marketing Center. I really would like this webinar to be as interactive as possible. So if at any point you do have a question, feel free to ask it. The way you can do that in Google Plus is you'll see a little icon. It's kind of turquoise and it says Q&A on it. So if you just click on that icon, then it's going to open up a chat panel on the right-hand side where you can put in a question. If you're watching today's webinar as a recording, you can always get in touch with us here by contacting learningservices@royallepage.ca. So with that, let me flip over now and share with you my slides. So as part of today's call, here's an overview of what I'm hoping to talk about. The first thing I wanted to talk about was a feature within the Marketing Center called Listings Data Integration. And it's really a powerful tool that allows you to automatically pull information from your listings into a template that you're creating within the Marketing Center. So it'll pull all of the photos and images and makes it so much faster and so much easier to create feature sheets, brochures, postcards, whatever it is that you want to market that listing. Next, I want to share with you some quick tips for getting started with the Marketing Center. The main focus of that being updating your profile. We're going to talk about how you can go about finding new templates within the Marketing Center, how to create projects, and I'm going to walk you through step by step how you can create a feature sheet. I'll talk about the various distribution options that are available within the Marketing Center. Then I want to talk a little bit about Canada's anti-spam legislation. So this is law that took effect in July of 2014, and I want to talk to you about what the Marketing Center has in order to help you comply with this law. I will show you how to add contacts into the Marketing Center. And finally, I'm going to walk you through step by step how you can set up a drip campaign. One thing to keep in mind as I go through today's presentation is that if you're ever having trouble in the Marketing Center, one of the best places you can go for support is our customer care team. And if you're not familiar with them, they're here to provide support with all of the tools and services that we offer. So that includes the Marketing Center, but also the RLP network, your Royal LePage email, and even royallepage.ca. So there on the screen, I've got their toll-free number. That's 1-877-757-4545, or you can reach them by email for non-urgent requests at help@royallepage.ca. So what is the Marketing Center? It's the online tool provided by Royal LePage to help you with all of your marketing needs. We've got hundreds of professionally designed templates in there to cover various types of marketing and various types of stages of where you're at with your interactions with your clients. There are thousands of stock images as well as newsletter articles to make it easy for you to develop content. And there's also drip marketing functionality, also known as campaigns, which I'm going to talk about so you can send out regular messages to your clients as a way of staying in touch. For those of you who are working on a tablet, keep in mind that the Marketing Center is touch friendly. Another thing to keep in mind is that the Marketing Center is constantly innovating. So we really want this tool to be as useful as possible for you, and we really welcome your feedback. We're regularly introducing new templates and designs, new distribution options, as well as new functionality. But if, as you're getting into the Marketing Center, you find that there's something that's lacking or there's somewhere where we could improve, please let us know that, and we can see if we can get that built into the system. If you have that kind of feedback, the best way of sharing it with us would be to email learningservices@royallepage.ca. So with that, let's now open up an internet window and we can actually log into the Marketing Center. So here I am on rlpnetwork.com so that I can actually log into the system. For those of you who might not be aware, we actually recently reintroduced an all new RLP network that has enhanced functionality as well as enhanced design to make it a much better user experience for you. When you're logging into the RLP network for the first time, you will be prompted to create some security questions. That's really just a way for us to authenticate that it is in fact you, so that going forward, if ever you forget your password, you'll be able to regenerate a new password yourself. And I'm sure many of you have seen this type of security question function before if you do banking online or other confidential transactions online. That's just a way for us to keep your account safe. So now that I'm in here in the RLP network, to get to the Marketing Center, I'm going to go to the Marketing tab and then Marketing Center. And as I was mentioning before, the first thing I want to show you is something called Listings Data Integration. So I'm actually going to sign out of this account because I'm not a licensed agent. I don't have any listings, but I want to show you what that feature looks like for someone who does have a listing. Again, to get into the Marketing Center, I'll go to Marketing and then Marketing Center. And here, you'll notice that the view is a little bit different than what I had before because I do have a listing and I'm now able to access this listing data integration feature. So the first step is to choose the listing that you want. So I'm going to choose this 1280 Kelly Street. And step 2 would be to choose a template. So you can see there's postcards, feature sheets, some of them have carriage trade branding. I'm going to look for a feature sheet that's one page and is designed for one agent. And so here I see that. I'm going to check it off. And step 3 is simply to launch the Marketing Center. So it's going to open the Marketing Center for me in a brand new window. I'm going to go through the steps of creating this feature sheet using the listing data a little bit quickly. My purpose in that is I really want to illustrate just how easy it is to create something using this feature. If you've got questions about the process for creating a feature sheet, don't worry. I am going to come back to this later on and we'll walk you through step by step in the process. But for now, we're going to do the listing data. And so I'm going to come up with a name for this project. I'm going to call it 1280 Kelly Street because that is the name of the listing after all. And then I'm going to put in FS as a short form for feature sheet. I next have to save this into a folder. And our recommendation is that you create a unique folder for each one of your listings, just as a way of keeping everything organized and sorted. Of course, you've got the freedom to organize your account as you see fit, but that would be our recommendation. So now that I've got a project name and a project folder, I can go on with the process of developing this feature sheet using the listings data. And here's just a little message letting me know. And there you can see it's actually beginning to pull all of the data from the listing. So it's going to have pulled all of the images, and you can see them here, as well as all of the text. The images have already been cropped. They're already sorted. If I wanted to, I could move them around. This button here is the replace button, so I could get rid of the image. There's also this image here. It looks like a square with a line through it. I could use it to recrop the image if necessary. But I'm really happy with how all of these look. Now you might notice that on photo number 1, there's this exclamation mark in the top right hand corner. So that's a quality alert. It's the system's trying to let me know that the image quality may have been degraded. So where this data is coming from is you've submitted your listing to the board. It then gets picked up by CREA and then comes over to us and to royallepage.ca. So sometimes based on the requirements of your board, photos will then get degraded at the level of CREA. The quality might not be as good. If that is the case, you can always click on Add New Photos, and you could upload a higher resolution version of this photo if you've got it on your hard drive. If I click on this one, I can see a larger version. And you know what? I actually don't think this looks too bad. So I'm going to leave it as is for the now. I'm going to save and continue. And here you can see all the text is already filled in. So that's perfect. Here you can see that the text in the remarks, it says negative 53 characters. So I've gone a little bit long. I would probably need to trim this down a little bit. So just remove some of that text. Of course, I want to make sure that the paragraph still makes sense. And then move on to the last step. And the fourth step is to confirm that your agent information is correct. So all of this information is coming from your profile within the Marketing Center, which we will be updating shortly. But mine is already up to date, and so I'm happy with it. I go save and continue. And I'm done. I've already created my feature sheet. Let's do a quick preview just so you can see what it looks like. But I mean, that took me 5, maybe 10 minutes. And now I've got this professional quality feature sheet that's ready to go. So that's the advantage of using the listing data integration function. I mean, this feature sheet looks great. And now I could continue on with the distribution options, which again, I will come back to a little bit later. For those of you who are coming into the Marketing Center for the first time, the most important thing you should do is to update your profile. And the reason that updating your profile is relevant is that each time you create a project in the Marketing Center, it's going to pull the information from your profile. This is a time-saving feature that's there so that each time you create something, you don't have to enter your phone number and your email address and your photo every single time. You do it once and then it's good. One thing I will say, just to clarify, is that the profile here in the Marketing Center, it is distinct from the profile that you have on the RLP network. So this one is separate, and this profile is for the Marketing Center only. To access your profile, what you need to do is go up to the top right-hand corner where you see your name. And when you click on your name, a drop-down menu will appear. I'm going to go into the first option, which is Profile. And this is where I can come to update my personal information. So I have my name, my title, my phone number, email, and website. And on the right-hand side, I've got my image. If you haven't already uploaded an image, there's going to be a gray box there. And when you click into it, it'll allow you to upload an image from your computer. When I hover over the image, there's 2 icons that appear. On the left-hand side is a trash can, and that would let me delete this image. And on the right-hand side, it's that square with the line through it again, which is the cropping tool. So if I wanted to, let me click on the cropping tool. Then I'd be able to recenter the frame, maybe modify the dimensions as I see fit. But I actually really prefer the whole image. And then I click crop. If you make any changes to your profile, just remember to hit save. And once the save has gone through and the changes have been made to my profile, you'll receive a little message like the one I've got at the top of the screen. I'm going to go back to my profile again, but this time I'm going to go to business info. And what we mean by business info is all of the details related to your brokerage. So your brokerage name, address, and country. And then on the right-hand side, it's the logo. So you actually have the option of 2 different logos. On the left-hand side, you'll see the one that's specific to your brokerage. So in my case, that would be Real Estate Services Limited. Or on the right-hand side, there's the standard Royal LePage logo that does not have a brokerage name on it. You can choose which one you'd prefer. I'm going to choose the one for my brokerage and then select and close. Of course, when you're making changes, always remember to hit save. I'm going to go back up to where my name was a third time, and this time I'm going to go into account settings. And under account settings, there's a few quick questions for you to answer. One is if you'd like to use a bit.ly short URL. And this is applicable if you want to create projects that are hosted entirely online. And I'll talk about that a bit more when we get to the distribution options. But one of the things that you can do is you can create a unique web page for your projects. And by using this bit.ly short URL, it'll just give you a shortened URL that requires fewer characters. So that way, if you were sending it out maybe by social media or in an email, it's not going to be this long, ugly looking link. It would be a shorter link. Second question is one that relates to the Canadian anti-spam legislation. So it's asking you, do you want to only send email to those who have given consent? So if you choose yes, then only people who have given consent and that consent has been indicated in the Marketing Center will receive your messages. When we get to uploading contacts, I'm going to talk a little bit more about getting consent from your clients for sending email. You can set your time zone. The reason that that's relevant is if you're scheduling emails to be sent out, then the time that those get sent out would be impacted based on the time zone that you select. And finally, there's the language section. If you work entirely in English, then I would recommend that you choose English. That's going to hide all of the French templates. Sometimes I have people who contact me and they started creating a feature sheet, and when they got to the end, they realized that it was a French template. And unfortunately, there's no way to just switch back to English. You'd have to start a brand new one in English. So that's why if you're never going to use the French, it's best to just hide it. If you do work in both English and French, I would recommend that you select no preference. Because if you select bilingual, it's going to only show templates that have English and French, and your options are going to be very limited. So if you work only in English, choose English. If you work in English and French, choose no preference. And as we did with all the others, you want to click Save. I'm going to go to my profile or to where my name is a fourth time. And this time, I want to talk about the Photo Manager tool. This is something relatively new that has been introduced, but it's a way for you to easily manage your photos. It allows you to break it down in a few different categories. The first one is albums, for when you want to upload groups of images all at once. Say, for example, you've got a new listing and you want to create some marketing materials for it. You could upload all of the photos from that listing, the whole folder at once, so that you'll have access to all of those images. Projects is where it's going to save all of the images that you've used previously within the Marketing Center. And your favorite section is where you'll find all of the images that you've indicated as a favorite. And we're going to see this favoriting option quite a bit within the Marketing Center, both for photos and for templates. The way to make something a favorite would just be to click inside the star. And when you see that the star is solid, then it is a favorite. If the star is hollow, then it's no longer a favorite. But I'm going to click it again just to make sure this one gets saved as a favorite. So now that my profile is up to date, I've got some images within the Marketing Center, I'm ready to start creating a project. So to do that, I'm going to click on the Designs tab. And there's a number of ways of searching for a new template to create. There's a search bar where I could simply just start typing something in. So let's say brochure. And it gives me a bunch of different options. It's doing a search by design, by product, by themes, doing a search of a variety of different keywords. Next, we have a window here that's sorted into a few tabs. The first one being recent, where you can easily pick up a project that you've recently been creating and create it again using that same template. Favorites are any templates that you've created as a favorite. And again, you'll notice that the star is solid, which means that this has been saved as a favorite. Popular are the templates that are being used the most often by others within Royal LePage. And finally, featured is anything that we here at Royal LePage Canada have decided to highlight. And generally speaking, we're going to highlight anything that's new and exciting. So you'll see this is one of our newer designs that we put out in the fall. And so that's what we're currently having featured. My preferred method of finding a new template is actually by scrolling down and looking by product. This is a layout that's very clear. You can see exactly the options that are available to you. And as you can see, there's a huge range in the terms of the type of project that you create. One of the ones that I think is especially cool is the web app down here in the bottom right-hand corner. This is a tool. It comes with video content as well as information about the real estate process and the advantages of using a Royal LePage Realtor. But it's also fully customizable. So you can put in your own information, information about your market, even the listing itself. And then you'll download this web app and you can save it onto a tablet and take it on a listing presentation. It's very simple to create, and it really positions you as someone who's extremely professional and has a lot of great marketing tools at their disposal. For the purposes of today's presentation, I want to show you how to create a feature sheet, because that's by far the most common project that is being created within the Marketing Center. So I go up and I click Feature Sheet. Here, I've got a menu with a whole bunch of different drop-down menus, which is going to allow me to narrow my search and find exactly the type of feature sheet that I want. So as you can see, beside where it says feature sheet, it has the number 64 in brackets. That means that there's 64 different templates that are available to me. So let's narrow down the search a little bit. I want one that's just one page. That puts me down to 47. I want 11 by 8.5, which is kind of a standard size of a piece of paper. And once I've narrowed down my search enough, I can scroll down and I can begin looking through some of the options that are available to me. I'm actually going to go back. And when you see a template and you hover over it, there's a few icons that appear. On the left-hand side, there's the star, which is where you can save this template as a favorite. On the right-hand side, there's a box with a check mark, and that would allow you to immediately go into that template and begin creating it. If I click right in the middle, I can find a little bit more information about the template and even view a sample. So this one's a 4-page feature sheet. It's a little bit longer than what I was hoping for, so I'm not going to go with it. Here's one that's 1 page, and in the top right-hand corner, you can see that it's just 1 agent. Some of our templates are designed for 2 agents or for entire teams, but for this one, I'm just an agent who's working independently, and I just want a 1-page feature sheet. So let's look at the sample. I think this template looks great, so I'm going to select this design. And just as I did before, I need to come up with a project name. So this is for my listing at 123 King Street. And I'm going to put this in my project folder for, let's see if I've got one for King Street. Oh, I've got one. If I needed to create one though, I could just click into create new folder and then type in the name of the folder. So I've got a name and a folder. I'm ready to go on to the next step. So step number 2 in creating a project is inserting photos. And here you can see there's space for 5 different photos. But you might be wondering, okay, where are these photos actually going to appear on the finished product? So at any point during the design phase, you can click on View Layout and see a larger version of what the template design looks like. So you'll see in the top left-hand corner, there's that big photo 1. That would be a ideal place to put in a exterior shot of the home. And then for photos 2 through 5, those are the smaller images around photo 1. I could put in photos of the various rooms of the home. So now that I'm ready to add photos, click on the button, and I've got the option of adding photos from several different places. I could upload them from my computer, and if I were to click on that, it'll allow me to search my hard drive and either upload individual images or whole folders at a time. Project photos are all the past photos that I've used in previous projects. Album photos are any albums of images that I've already uploaded into the system using the Photo Manager tool that I was talking about a moment ago. Favorited photos are any photos that I've saved as a favorite. There's a full library of stock images, and you can also access your Dropbox account. For those of you who are not familiar with it, Dropbox is an online storage provider. And so if you are using their services, you could access your account this way and pull images directly from your Dropbox. For today, I'm going to go into my project photos. And I've actually already got my 123 King Street folder because I've already created some feature sheets for this listing. So I need now to select some of these images. If I wanted to, I could do a preview, which is what the magnifying glass on the left indicates. The center icon, which is a star, is for saving this image as a favorite. And the check mark on the right-hand side is for selecting the image. So I'm going to select first photo 1, the exterior of the home. And I now want some rooms of the home. I'm going to add selected. As you can see, they're automatically cropped. And I'm happy with the way they look. If I wanted to, I could go in and recrop them. So here, for example, I could maybe move so that it shows more of the bed. Or I could show more of the window. I'm going to put it kind of smack in the middle. And then click Save and Continue. The third step is to enter text into your project. You'll notice that when I click into one of these fields, there's 2 things that happen. Just below, it will tell me how many characters are remaining, just so I have an idea of how much space I've got to work with. And on the right-hand side, there's a little icon. It looks like a piece of paper with a quill pen. That's something that's called the Phrase Assistant, and it's useful in multiple ways. One of the ways in which I find it helpful is that it will have saved all of the phrases that you've used previously. So different expressions that you've used. And there's also something called generic phrases, which is where you can do a search by keyword. So for example, I've got a new listing that I want to describe as comfortable. Click comfortable. And I see it's got a whole bunch of different expressions that I could use. Of course, I could customize these or modify them if I wanted to, but it's a great starting point and gives you some inspiration for how you could market your listings in an interesting way. The other thing that's available within here are some articles, so that if you are creating your own newsletter, you can come in here and get some of that professionally written content and use that to create your own newsletter. In the interest of time, I'm not going to go through putting in all of this text, but I do want to point out one thing with this specific template design that I've chosen. This is part of the Is What I Do design that it's kind of a play on our slogan, helping you is what we do. So this Is What I Do is built right into this template, and you're able to modify what comes before it. So what we're calling your value statement. By default, it'll say finding your perfect home. But maybe you work in a downtown market and you're dealing mostly with condo buyers. You could modify it to say finding your perfect condo. Or if you're working with recreational properties, you could have it finding your perfect getaway, something like that. So you do have some flexibility in terms of what comes before that statement. That said, you can't actually remove the Is What I Do. That's built into this template. So if you don't like it, then I would suggest selecting a different template that does not have that. And there are plenty. So we'll click Save and Continue. Again, we see my agent information. It's all been pre-populated for my profile, and it's all accurate and up to date. And we'll do a preview again, just to show you what my finished product looks like. It might be a little bit bare just because I skipped entering in any of the text, but I just want to give you an impression of the quality of the products that you can create in the Marketing Center. And also give you a sense of how quickly we were able to do that. So even as I'm on here explaining step by step how the whole system works, I was still able to do this feature sheet in probably about 10 minutes. So now that my feature sheet is complete, you'll see that there's a few other editing options here. If I were to click on the edit button, I could go back in and make changes as necessary. Duplicate will make a second copy of this project. Move will allow me to save this feature sheet in a different folder. And delete, of course, is going to permanently erase this project. Now we can move on and talk about some of the distribution options that are available, starting with the Publish to Web option. So what this does is you can think of it as almost creating a unique web page for your feature sheet so that it's hosted entirely online. And then you can share a link to it either in an email, via social media, or have it as a link that's embedded on your very own website or the Office website. What's great about the Publish to Web option is that there is the ability to track statistics. So you can see how many people have viewed your project and where they're coming from. The next option is the Email to Contacts. So you could, if you upload your contacts into the Marketing Center, you could email them directly using the system. One of the things that's great about the email functionality is that it would send this feature sheet embedded in the message body itself. So it's not going to be an attachment, it is going to be the message itself, which gives it a much more professional look, especially as people are reluctant to open attachments for fear of virus. The other thing about the email option is that it is fully compliant with all of the parts of the anti-spam legislation. So for example, your clients or your recipients of this message would have the ability to unsubscribe. And if someone were to unsubscribe from your email, you would receive a notification. The other thing with the Email to Contacts option is that it will track statistics for you. And you can see how many people have opened your message, how many times they looked at your message, and whether you're getting any bounce backs, either because someone's email was entered wrong or because their inbox is already full. Moving over is the Download PDF, so that if you wanted to print this project at home, in the office, or through a professional printer, you could download a PDF and share it with them. There's several options available to share this project via social media. There's Facebook, Twitter, Google Plus, and Pinterest. And each of those is represented by the logo for that social media. If I wanted to share my feature sheet on, say, Facebook, all I have to do is click on the Facebook logo. It's going to take me to the login page for Facebook. I just put in my credentials, and then I could post this feature sheet directly to my wall. There's two final options for you. One of them is over here on the right-hand side. It's the option to buy a domain name. So if I wanted to buy, say, 123kingstreet.com, I could first do a search to make sure that that domain name is available. And if so, I could purchase it. I believe that the cost is $19.95, and that entitles you to that domain name for the year. One final print option is the Marketing Center's printing partner. It's a company called ColorTech, and they can take care of all the printing and ship it directly to you. If you want to know a bit more about the service that they offer and the price list that they have available, all you need to do is click on their logo. Let's move now into the contacts section, and I'll show you how you can upload your contacts into the system. There is the option to create a new contact, and you could enter people individually. But for those of you who are already working in a database and probably already have a group of contacts maybe started in an Excel or in a CRM, then you can do an import of your contacts. And there's several different platforms that are supported. First, I got to come up with a name for my group. So I'm going to call them my March 2015 seller clients. And there's various different file types that are accepted by the Marketing Center. The most common is definitely Excel or CSV file. And if you don't currently have your contacts in an Excel file format, virtually all CRM products will give you the option to do an export and save your contacts in an Excel or CSV file format. Because it is so common, I'm actually going to show you how you can upload your contacts once they're in an Excel format. So I'm going to click on that logo, and it's going to allow me to do a search on my computer. So it's not showing my pop-up window, but I'm just scrolling through the files that I have on my computer, and I selected one, and it's pulled it into the system. So what the system tries to do is it tries to match the content of your Excel file spreadsheet with the various titles that it should relate to. So example, first name, last name, street address. The other thing it's doing is it's trying to ask me whether or not the first line in the spreadsheet, if that was actually a contact or not. So you can see here, it's first name, last name, company. It's asking me, is this actually a person? And so the answer is no. That wasn't a person. That was simply the titles that I used when I was creating my spreadsheet. So now what I want to do is move left to right just to make sure that all of the fields are being picked up correctly. So here's one where it's skipped, and I want to make sure it gets configured so that I'm registering that person's province. Here's another that was skipped, and I definitely want to make sure I get their email addresses. And at the very end, I want to make sure I'm getting their birthday as well. So click Next. And now here's one of the things that is great about the Marketing Center. The fact that when you are uploading contacts that already exist within the Marketing Center, it's smart enough to recognize that they are duplicates. So it's not going to create any new contacts. It's going to just simply update ones that already exist. So I've already uploaded this list in the past, which is why it's telling me that 0 new contacts will be created. But the 5 contacts that were featured in my list are going to be updated. So that means that if, say, on a monthly basis, you wanted to come back and update your database, you could import your contacts again, and it's not going to create duplicates. It's simply going to update any of the old ones, and if there are new contacts, then they will be added. But you don't have to worry about duplicates. Then I click next, and I'm finished. So let me go into my group. I'm going to go back to Manage Contacts and go to Groups. And I want to look at my March 2015 seller clients. So if I were to go up to my actions, one of the options that's available to me is that I could request consent. So it's what I was talking about earlier with the anti-spam legislation. And if you are looking to get that consent from your clients, you can put in this pre-built message. The message is already written for you. It comes in a professional layout. All the client has to do is click on Stay in Touch, and that information will be saved within the Marketing Center that they have in fact given their consent to receive your messages. You could also get consent from your clients on an individual basis. So go back to Manage Clients. This time I'm going to go into one of my individual contacts. Here I could edit any of his information. And at the bottom, I click Show Advanced Options, and I can request consent. So like what I was showing you before, I could send him that personalized email where all the client would have to do is click Stay in Touch. Or perhaps this client has already given me consent and maybe already sent me an email or otherwise indicated that they were interested in receiving messages from me. I could manually enter that consent. For example, if I had worked with a client and that would be the implicit consent because you would have a business relationship with that person, I could enter those details here and I could decide how long I'd like that consent to remain active. But of course, if someone changes their mind, they do still have the option of unsubscribing from your messages at any time. So that's it for the contact section. Let me now show you the campaign section. This is drip marketing functionality where you could send out regular email messages to your clients. And we have two types of campaigns that are available to you. Some of them are what we call date specific, which means that the messages in that campaign get sent out on a specific date, whereas some are timing specific, which means that the messages go out at a certain frequency, but not bound by a specific date. So I'm first going to show you a date specific one. And the best example of that is our e-newsletter. So here is a campaign that I've already set up. The first step that you need to do is go in and decide who's actually going to be receiving this campaign. So I click on my campaign contact summary, and I can see who I've added. If I wanted to add others, I just go to Manage Contacts and then Contacts, and it'll let me search through the people who are in my address book, either by their individual names, or perhaps I've got a whole group of contacts that I wanted to add into the system. So I'm happy with emailing these 6. I'm going to click Save. The second section is the campaign history, but because I've just created this campaign, I actually don't have a history right now, so there's no events there. And then finally, there are the events themselves. So what is the makeup of this campaign? And as you can see, the events are highlighted by 2 different types of icon. Some of them have a little talk bubble, and those are reminders that are just for me as the user. Some of them have an envelope, and those indicate messages that are going out to your clients. So let's look at the first one. It's a spring e-newsletter reminder. So this is a message to me just to let me know that the newest edition of the newsletter would be coming out soon. And then here's the newsletter itself. I could do a preview. It would be going out on March 1st, 2015. Now you'll notice that some of these events are checked off, and that's because this is a date-specific campaign. So the dates in this campaign, for example, March 1st, that has already passed. So if I were to add people to my campaign now, they're not going to receive the spring newsletter because it's in the past, it's gone. However, they will receive all the remaining events within my campaign. And then I've got the option of whether or not I'd like them to be turned on or off. So perhaps I don't need those reminders to come to me. I could turn them off. The process for setting up a time-specific campaign is more or less the same as the date-specific campaigns. However, there is one key difference, and that's that I could continuously add new people to that campaign, and it would just start that new person through the process of receiving the messages based on a certain frequency, as opposed to the messages going out on a certain date. We have two different types of timing specific campaigns. There's one for buyers and there's one for sellers. And within each, there's 4 different options in terms of the timing. So you could do a 30-day campaign, 60-day, 90-day, or 120-day. And the way you would choose is just based on how close to transacting that person is. So for example, if a lead is very hot, they're very eager to get their home on the market, you might want to set them up on the 30-day seller campaign. If you've got a lead that's maybe a little bit colder, maybe needs some time to kind of get their mind into selling their home, you could set them up on the 120-day seller campaign as a way of spacing those messages out a little bit more, but still keeping in contact on a regular basis. So if I go into one of these timing specific campaigns, you'll see it looks the same. It's the same in terms of putting in the recipients, where I would see the campaign history, the same icons for reminders to me and messages to clients. But when I click on the messages themselves, the date to send, rather than being a specific date, is just 1 day after the contact is added. So I could just continuously be adding people to this campaign, and as I add a new person, they would just start receiving the series of messages in this order. So that brings me to the end of my presentation. I'm just checking right now to see if there are any questions, and I'm not seeing any so far. If there is anything you'd like me to elaborate on, please be sure to just type that into the questions box or contact me at Learning Services. At this point, what I'd like to show you is royallepage.ca/training. And this is where you could come to find more information about all of the training programs that we offer. Currently, we've got our live training that's happening all across Canada. All you've got to do is click on your province to see when we're coming to your area. And this workshop we're calling Maximize Your Earning Potential, and trying to get you thinking about the various factors that are impacting your business and how you can help address those factors. Another major focus of this workshop is going through the new RLP network and doing a demonstration of all this new functionality that's available to you. On this site, you're also going to find information about all of our webinars, and we've got a webinar almost every week, and you can see all the different series that we offer. For the Getting Started with the Marketing Center, which we've done today, on this page, you have the ability to fill out a survey and share your feedback on today's session. Let us know if you found it valuable, what we can do to improve, and also let us know what topics you'd like us to see included in future trainings. So with that, I want to thank you so much for taking your time in joining today's call. If you need to get in touch with us, I've got the contact information here for both Learning Services and our customer care team. Thank you for your time, and wish you much success with using the Marketing Center. Have a great afternoon.